To order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, we have 4 students from the Painting and Decorating program. Alyssa's a sophomore from Drake-It. Kayla's a sophomore from Drake-It. Sydney is a senior from Drake-It. And I can't remember the last one, I'm sorry. Melissa, was it Melissa? Melissa? Megan is a senior from Tingsboro. Can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you.
And real quickly, if you don't mind, these students did a project this summer. I know it's not part of the agenda, but real quickly, can you talk a little bit about the painting and decorating project that you did in Lowell? Roll call. Okay.
Yeah, let's just do the roll call.
Could the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Tatsias?
Here.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Here.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yeah.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Here.
Mr. Lemay?
Here.
Okay, over the summer, you did a project in Lowell for the Collier Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about the project to the school committee?
Yeah, so we collaborated with Carpentry to make these plaques for the John Collier Foundation. We're not sure really where they're going, but we're really proud to be a part of the project. So.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Great.
Nice job.
Is he a senior?
Yes.
Is there anyone signed up for public appearance? No?
Nope. Nope.
We have with us this evening Isaiah Carrasquillo. Want to do that? Okay, excuse me. We'll go to school committee communications, and the chair would recognize Committeeman Boutin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Lemay, colleagues, Superintendent Mastrocola, Ms. Gosselin. I'm writing this letter to inform you and my colleagues of my resignation as a school committee member for the Greater Lowell Technical High School effective September 20th, 2019 at 11 a.m. It has been an honor to be a part of the school as a committee member for the past 7 years, and prior to that for 5 years as a volunteer. My time at the school has been rewarding. I appreciate the work of my fellow committee members, both past and present. It should also be noted that I have the utmost respect for the teachers, the staff, and the administration for their efforts to make the student experience the best it can possibly be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray.
The chair would accept the communication, be placed on file, I believe.
We're going to miss you. Thank you.
If I may, I guess this is the appropriate time. As the chair, I'd like to just say that Mr. Boutin has done yeoman's work for the committee. When I first started here just 5 years ago, I looked for his guidance because I was kind of new to academia, and we were undertaking a $65 million building project, and Mr. Boutin knows all the facets. He's very multifaceted when it comes time to what we do here, and he's not afraid to take a stand. He's not afraid to share with his colleagues or help out his colleagues. He's always there if I had to call him. Very knowledgeable, knows the ins and outs of a lot of programs and a lot of funding. I'd just like to say that I feel bad, but I accept his resignation. I know how he feels. I had 4 children. My youngest is a lot older now, but I can understand where you're coming from, and you mentioned how proud you were when you handed your son a diploma. It's a big hit. I guess that's all I'll say, because it's sad. I'm sad. But yet,
Thank you.
I'm happy for you and your family.
Thank you very
I know-
much.
I know it's all about work and family. We serve in this board with no compensation. It's a lot of time. People might not think so, but when push comes to shove, we put in the time. So, unless my colleagues have something to say, that's all I have.
I think it's well said. Did a nice job. I'm going to miss Ray. I look to him also as a mentor when I first was elected.
Thank you.
Committeeman O'Hare?
Yes, in addition to what we've just talked about, Ray and his items that he has done, helped the school, but just going outside the school, I've seen him in action with some of his junior league ball players, etc. If something's wrong, someone's building a new wall for the field and everything else without any compensation, you know. I just think you were, all the things that the gentleman here has just talked about, that's fine, that's great. But personally, I think you couldn't be beaten anything you did. Thank you.
That is so kind. Thank you.
George, Committeeman Tatsias.
Ray, we're gonna miss you,
Thank you.
and I've always wondered, if you do everything in your life, your personal life, your business, as hard as you work here, I don't know how you've done it so far. So thank you for all you've done.
That's so nice. Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you.
You're loved.
And I feel
You'll
that.
be missed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on this evening. We have a new student representative. His name is Isaiah Carrasquillo. He's from the electrical department. We welcome you, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Organizations and clubs. Our 4th annual Homecoming Under the Lights will be taking place on October 4th, 2019. Greater Lowell's homecoming royalty will be announced during halftime at the football game. The senior class advisors will be helping to organize a dance in our school cafeteria that will occur after the football game. Our annual Canopy Lake Screamfest trip will be taking place in October. Students will stay after school to enjoy pizza and a movie before heading to Canopy Lake for the night. The new peer mentoring program for freshman students has started. 32 upper class students who were recommended by various staff attended an all-day peer mentoring training in August. This training was conducted by our 3 advisors, John Callahan, Lauren Chanel, and Jenna Parkhurst. The mentors met with their freshman mentees. Every mentor has 2 mentees, and on the second day of school at the meet and greet in the Artisan Restaurant. Student mentors will be supporting their freshman mentees throughout the school year. The sophomore class committee, along with students in the freshman class committee, will be participating in the annual Merrimack Valley Food Drive this fall for the Merrimack Valley Food Bank in Lowell. This 2-day volunteering event has been a continued success at the sophomore class committee. Will also participate in the upcoming spring food drive later in the school year. The committee discussed the Screamfest activity planned for 10/11 at Canopy Lake Park. We also discussed the possibility of having a guest speaker present the school in March-April. The committee is currently discussing topics and searching for possible presenters to be considered. Finally, we are working on selling tickets and spreading awareness for our upcoming Veterans Brunch to be held in the mall on November 9th. Proceeds raised during the event will be used to offset any future activities for both the freshman and sophomore class. The committee will also approve of making a donation to the Wounded Warrior Project with some of the proceeds from the Veterans Brunch. The yearbook staff held its first meeting where they discussed yearbook design and cover themes. The staff will be meeting with O'Connor Studios in October to review the design experience and updates the yearbook design software. The dance club started meeting on Wednesday, September 11th and 21st. The dance club is preparing for their first performance for the pep rally in November. Skills USA. Over the summer, 7 students and 4 advisors attended the Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference held in Louisville, Kentucky. We are proud to announce that Samantha Marion, currently a junior in marketing, earned a silver medal for employment application process, and Karen Vinyl, currently a junior in CAD, earned a bronze medal in principles of engineering and technology. Our web design team of the Sophia Bronson and Anthony Latia, now graduates, placed 9th in the nation. In addition, our chapter was recognized on stage during the award ceremony as a national model of excellence for our freshman outreach initiative. As we anticipate another successful year, our Skills USA officer team has been holding planning meetings to structure our 2019-2020 calendar of events. We intend to have our calendar and schedules of activities finalized by the end of September. Project Purple will be presenting at Plain Sight on September 26 from 4:45 to 5:30 in the back of the Artisan Restaurant prior to back to school night. This event is for parents and provides information for them about warning signs of potential drug use. Finally, last Thursday, September 12, 2019, the Outing Club utilized our new alpine climbing wall and spent the afternoon reaching new heights. Please see the pictures below. Athletics. Boys soccer has been working to find their stride during the early part of the season. The Griffins have a big matchup coming up against Whittier, Minutemen, and Essex Tech. The boys will host the Innovation Academy on October 1st for the annual homecoming game under the lights at 6 p.m. Girls soccer has scored some early season wins over Chelsea and Northeast in league play. The girls will look to make a push for potential state tourney spot as the season progresses, and will also be hosting League Essex Tech in their homecoming game on October 3rd at 6 p.m. Lady Griffin Volleyball has been playing well out the gate this year, picking up W's over Whittier, Lynn Tech, and Northeast. The team will host Lowell Catholic on October 3rd for the homecoming game in a big non-league contest. Cross Country opened their season with a big league win over Shawsheen and Minutemen last week. The Griffin Runners will host Whittier on September 18th in Chelsea on October 2nd for their homecoming week race. The golf team has opened their 3rd ever season with matches against Shawsheen and Lowell Catholic. The team has several golfers who will look to contend for a top finish at the league and state vocational matches in October. The cheer team has been working hard in the early season to prepare for the upcoming competitions in October. The team also represented Greater Lowell recently at Drake Old Home Day on September 7th. Varsity football opened their 2019 season with a hard-fought 17-0 win over Lynn Tech on September 6th. After a bye week, the team will be hosting league rival Shawsheen Tech on September 24th before traveling to Essex Tech on September 27th. The Griffins will host Whittier on October 4th for their homecoming game at 6:30 p.m.
Good job, Isaiah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaiah.
That's 3 pages. Good job.
Look forward to seeing you next month.
Yes.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank
I
you
would
very
now
much.
ask for the superintendent's report? No? Oh, the approval of the minutes. I'm sorry.
I'll move to the
Yeah.
minutes.
Moved by Committeeman Gigi, seconded by Committeeman Moore.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yeah.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin? Mr. Boutin?
Approval of the minutes?
Mr. Lemay?
Yes. Okay, report of the treasurer. Approval of warrants with a vote.
Making a motion to waive the reading, Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Second?
Okay.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yep.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes. Okay, motion to approve the expenditures for the sum of $2,892,962.33. Motion by
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Mr. Tatsias, Seconded by Mr. O'Hare.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes. He's not here.
Is he here?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Just ask him if he has
General counsel?
one. Right.
Didn't see him earlier.
No, he's here.
Oh,
I saw him.
Hiding.
He's in the back row.
Could we have the,
He just said no report.
no report.
No report tonight.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, we will now have the report of the Superintendent-Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item on the agenda is the opening of school update. I wanted to give the committee a verbal update of our opening for the last 3 weeks. We've had an extremely smooth start in our school district due to the good work of administrators, teachers, and staff. We have 2268 students as we speak today. That's about the same number we had last year at this time. I'll have a full report, by the way, at our next meeting after the October 1st numbers are finalized. We have 350 individuals that have signed up for the adult ed program also. Our opening weeks have focused on organization and safety. Our athletics, as you heard from Isaiah, are off to a great start. I want to really thank our administrators, especially our staff, our teaching staff, and our parents for their continued support. I know when a school district opens, and we know how difficult life challenges are, and we run into little small hiccups, and I appreciate our parents' patience as we work through some of these really small issues, small bus issues, small schedule issues. They've been really well with us, and I appreciate that. I look forward to the next couple of months. Moving forward, we have a lot of activities. I wanted to remind the committee, too, that next Thursday night is our back-to-school night. Everyone's welcome to come and participate and hang around in the common areas as our parents are here. That's a very busy evening for us. And as Isaiah said also, we have our homecoming week 2 weeks from tonight, about 2 weeks from tonight. So we're off to a good start. I'll keep the committee updated on any issues that come forward. I don't know if you saw, but about noon today, a sweeping education finance bill was passed. Our organization, the superintendent organization, is now trying to decipher that a little bit. And if I have some information, I'll get it to the committee in a breakdown. Of course, the law is hard to read. So there's some experts looking at that. So I'll make sure we have an update for the committee, where we're at with that and how it's going to affect us. It's a 7-year bill down the line. It appears on paper that it becomes very favorable for us financially. However, there is a lot of accountability that's tied to that too, so we have a lot of work to do around that also. Next item, NEASC. Number 2, NEASC update. NEASC stands for, as you know, New England Association of Schools and Colleges. That's our accrediting board. We had our kickoff planning meeting a week and a half ago. Due to the good work of Mr. Boutin, we're off to a very good start in terms of organizing this. As you know, just to inform everybody again, NEASC is a 10-year process. It culminates in the 10th year with the site visit. It's mainly made up of 2 components. 70% is a self-study, reflection, and preparation, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. That happens at the school level. And 30%, really about 30%, is the actual site visit, which is tentatively set up for November 30th, December 1st, and December 2nd of 2020, almost a year from now. In your packet is some accompanying documents I'd just like to touch upon. I know it's a lot of reading for you, but if I can touch upon a few items, if you want to follow along with me. First is the timeline, which I had mentioned a little bit about how we're approaching and meeting our goals for that site visit in December 2020. And we're in the process right now of setting up our steering committees and self-study committees. And as we get into the winter, that's when a lot of the work gets done in terms of developing reports for the preparation. What do those reports look like? First, the next item in your packet is, and again, this is just for information for you, is the standards if you wanted to look at it. These are really the benchmarks that we use to prepare our self-study. They're made up of a variety of different benchmarks that talk about core values, curriculum, instruction, assessment, culture and leadership, school finance, and school services. Of course, schools go through this. We've been through this process. Many of you are veteran school committee members. You probably went through this process 10 years ago, especially with the site visit. What are some of the standards and what is some of the work that our teachers do? There's a sheet here. It says Indicator 4. This is strictly a representative example. This would be the type of work that our teachers would work on. Indicator 4 says faculty and building administrators, this is one example, there's about 75 of these, are actively involved in the development and implementation of the budget. The analysis, what the analysis is, what the conclusion, what we would need to write and produce, and what would the narrative look like. So this process happens over the next 6, 7, 8, 12 months as we prepare for the site visit. We submit these electronically to the Association of Schools and Colleges. They give us some feedback as we go through. The self-study is important. It really lets you look at what you're doing in terms of your school. It gets good discussion about teaching and learning. So I wanted to add that to show you. This is what the teachers are going to be working on, our staff. What does it look like? Is an organizational chart. I would like you to take this out if you could take a peek at it. It's an organizational chart. This is what the steering committees would look like. We actually named a bunch of steering committees. The major chair is going to be Mr. Boutin, as I mentioned. I feel fully confident in his abilities in managing this. Mr. Versalone is going to be a co-chair of the steering committees, and as you can see in the colored blocks, I did this in color for you, you can see the particular core or our standard benchmarks that I mentioned earlier, assessment, who's going to be leading those, core values, who's leading those, curriculum, instruction, culture and leadership, student services, and school finance. Also, there's a group called Impactful Changes and Critical Strategies, and there's also School Community Profile. So these individuals, you know the names, they're mainly administrators, will be leading these particular groups. Teachers have signed up through a posting last week and this week, to sit on certain committees. So for example, under the assessment committee, it's going to be led by Ms. Chisholm, Ms. Sarmento, Mr. Cornelia, and it'd be about 6 or 7 teachers that would be sitting on that. And they'd be working on these indicators over a period of time. All right. The other reason I wanted to mention this, I would like to invite, you don't have to give me an answer today, I'd like to invite some of the committee members, if they have time, to sit on some of these steering committees. I think that looks favorably in terms of what NEASC. So you can kind of look at this and let me know at your leisure if you can devote some time, even if it's a little time, to have your name as a school committee member on this is looked at favorably by the accreditation board. So we
Do
can.
you have dates and times for that yet? No?
The groups are set up, the way we set this up to kind of respect the teacher's time, they set the times up. So we will probably, as we get into the spring, have like a set Wednesday, every other Wednesday, where all the groups would come together and kind of disseminate a little bit. That ain't gonna happen until March, April period. But initially, the head of each group will kind of set up their time. Most likely, they're gonna be, I can tell you, they're gonna be at the after school, anywhere between 2:15 to 4 o'clock time range. There may be a bunch of groups that could come at night, at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Maybe Saturday too, it could be. So I don't really have the time commitment. Symbolically, it might be a nice thing to just get involved somehow. So think about this, let me know, or if you want to let Mr. Boutin know too, that's fine also. And I really appreciate it if you could participate in that. Again, this is a process that is lengthy, takes a lot of time. Obviously, accreditation is a very important aspect for our school. I have full confidence in our staff to get through accreditation when that happens. But I do think there's some powerful pieces of this, of the self-reflection. It kind of coincides with what we do daily in our work in terms of teaching and learning. As we get through, I think I will give you an update in November, and then Ms. Davis will give you an update in January, and then we'll do one every other month, and give you an update of the progress we're doing with NEASC as we get to the site visit. As you know, when we do have the site visit, the committee's going to be, you need to devote some time to be here for that. That's important for the actual site visit, tentatively November 30th to December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2020. All right, so any thoughts on that? Yeah. All right, okay. All right. Next two items, I'll be requesting executive session for grievance, actually the grievance hearing's canceled, for non-union negotiations. So number 4, non-union negotiations.
I'm sorry, did number 3 get canceled?
Number 3 got canceled.
Is that the second time?
Second time.
Next order of business, report of the business manager, please.
All right, I have a couple of items for you tonight. The first one is the bond anticipatory note that we need to have issued. I believe around this time last year, you spoke with Mr. Garabedian, the previous business manager, about the closeout of the MSBA building projects that's taking a couple of years now. And as a result, we do have a cost outstanding still that needs to be paid on that. However, we're not going to bond it just yet because there's reimbursement coming from the MSBA that'll offset a number of this outstanding cost implication. So we went with our financial advisor out to bid to get a couple of banks to offer up the note in order to cover this cost obligation through the year as the closeout continues. And we had a net interest cost of about 1.56% on that note, or about $22,000 and some change on the 1.5 million that's still outstanding as our obligation. So this is just a vote to accept the bond with the most favorable terms as presented on the sheets ahead of you, that we will then have the treasurer execute and receive before our payment is due on that 1.5 million.
Does the board have any questions? Committeeman Gigi?
Just a quick one. Bond prices vary inversely with interest rates, right?
Generally, yes.
All right, and did I see that the feds are lowering the rate, so is the bond price going to go up?
I believe we're locked in as it sits today, because they knew about this prior to the rate cuts. So that rate shouldn't change based on what's presented in the package.
So, okay, there's no urgency or anything like that?
The only urgency is that the note becomes due on September 27th. So if we were to not vote for it today, we owe 1.5 million on the 27th. So I don't know where else it comes from, but yeah. I don't know who's got the checkbook, but this seems to be the way to cover it.
Right.
So moved.
Okay, Committeeman Boutin?
I'm just a little bit concerned, when I read the agenda, it said that we were gonna have the number by today. We're gonna be voting for something, we don't know what the number is, and I've always been a little bit leery about not knowing what the specific interest rate is. We have down here 2 or 2.25%.
Those were the two bids that were received on the note, but
We're getting more coming?
Nope, it was just the two that responded.
Well, so we're going with the 2%.
Yeah, it's a 2% total, but the net interest cost is 1.56 or so. Because what happens is they issued a premium on top of the bond, so we're actually receiving 1,506,000. So what we're actually paying out is the 22,000 roughly in interest.
So we're voting on Oppenheimer,
Yep.
but this is, I guess the certificate of award, it reads, I'm not understanding it then. Should it be at the Oppenheimer? I mean, should we be voting on Oppenheimer be in there? I thought that was in the last time we've done these, that it was a specific company that was bonding. We did the large bond and then the revolving bond.
You can make the motion as to include Oppenheimer as they presented the best favorable terms. I just made a more generic motion because I didn't get the interest rates or the bids back on this bond until after the packet was distributed.
You do have to name the company in
Okay.
the bond.
So the
vote.
motion should have Oppenheimer in the
Oppenheimer.
bond.
It has to have the
Okay.
name.
Thank you. Then I would,
So the motion would be amended to accept the bond through Oppenheimer
Sure.
with the most favorable terms as presented in the package. Any further? Committeeman O'Hare?
I'm just saying yes to the bid at the Oppenheimer.
I still have
You
a
go
question.
Go
Yes.
ahead. I think, yeah.
Committeeman Boutin?
Just a suggestion going forward, if interest rates ever do drop over the next 3 years, I don't know if it's possible that we can look at if we were ever to renegotiate the bond that we currently have. We have a very good rate. I think it's somewhere in the high ones, low twos. It was excellent when we got it, but keep that in mind. You know, remember Giggy said that, you know, it fluctuates and we're having a lot of turmoil right now, so it could be favorable at some point to keep that in mind for folks. Mr. Knight,
Sure.
especially.
I've actually worked with First Southwest previous, who was our financial advisor here, and they were actually instrumental in helping do that same process in my previous district. They looked at the old outstanding notes that were out, interest rates, and a refinancing, and that refinancing actually, I think, shortened up the payment terms by about 2 years and dropped interest considerably. So definitely something that they help us keep an eye on, as well as something I can bring up to them and ask.
Thank you.
Committeeman
I may not
Gigi?
be here to-
Briefly, is there a check and balance or a review that's automatic each 3 months or every 6 months or a year? Is there a checklist in the office? To look at long-term debt, short-term debt?
Nothing formally established. It's something that I would do more informally with First Southwest directly. I would ask them, generally when something like this goes on, I'd ask them about the note, ask them about our other outstanding debt, and see if I can get a little more insight. On an annual basis, we do have to prepare the debt schedule and get the debt schedules updated from First Southwest, and at that point, it's usually a good time for initiating the conversation about what we have outstanding and if there are options as far as refinancing and things along those lines.
So it's more annual then?
More annual than shorter term.
Okay.
Just a case in point, just so you know, reference point, we've been talking about the MSBA closing this out for a long time.
Yeah.
Right, so, you know, we're pushing, I wanted to let you know we're pushing hard to, you know, it was supposed to be done in August, so it looks like anywhere, time frame now, we're at their leisure between now and December. Hence the reason we had to go out and bond. We didn't anticipate to do that. It's a small amount on the interest, you know, it's reasonable, you know, we're protected that way, but, you know, when MSBA closes out, it would be, everything's gonna be clean and good, you know, at that time. So it's unfortunate we have to wait a little bit, because we'd love to just get rid of this debt, you know, and finish it. Because we've been in the building for 3.5 years now, for that, so just remember that. So anytime it could close, this could close, they could contact us next month and say, it's closed and it's on the agenda. And then we're done, you know, we're done with the debt.
It's my understanding that they're not gonna close it out at the full 1.5 though, right? It was less than that.
We're gonna,
We have
it'll be less than that.
And
Yeah.
then our debt would be substantially reduced by what they give us.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
With the
small
cost
amount of money.
obligation, there is outstanding reimbursement still from the MSBA. They generally hold back about 5% of the reimbursement through the closeout. So it's estimated anywhere between like 1.4 and change, or somewhere right around there. So even when this comes due, we're probably not going to be on the hook for the full 1.5. It'll be some fraction of that, and what we anticipate to be a smaller fraction. We don't have that number finalized yet, because a lot of what the closeout has been going through is the coding of all the invoices that came in. And when you do a CM at risk project, there's a built-in contingency, and that doesn't get coded up until the end. So they had this contingency amount in account that then gets broken down with the final invoices, and they're making sure that it gets put into the correct buckets, so to speak, and then determining from those buckets, was it reimbursable or not.
Any further questions? Good.
to know who made the motion and who seconded it.
So moved.
Motion by Committeeman Moran, seconded by Mr. Tatsias.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
All right, and my other item on the agenda here is just a small transfer. We had one department, the curriculum department purchased some curriculum items for the special education department, and then they were just reimbursing via transferring some budgetary funds over to the curriculum department from special education.
Motion to approve?
Committeeman Boutin, seconded by Mr. Moran.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes. Old business? Hearing none?
If I may.
Yes, Mr.
It's,
O'Hare.
this comes under the subcommittee policies, but on some of the items that we really haven't come to fruition yet. One is the Athletic Hall of Fame, and the other is the Superintendent's Wall of Fame. And if we could just get some type of information on that at our next meeting, just so, because this seems to be lagging on for a long period of time.
What type of information are you looking for?
Well, considering well, part of the items are delivering, excuse me, wellness policies, and the other is the Athletic Hall of Fame. That's been going on for 4 or 5 years now. And if we could come to fruition on that one, and also a second one, the superintendent is a little newer, but some of those two that I just mentioned, 2 and 3 of the outstanding items, if we could get a better, I mean, we changed a few things, but we never came to a final. And I'd like to see what's happening there.
Thank you.
Can I ask that maybe the superintendent report back? I don't know if it's out of turn, but on the Athletic Wall of Fame and the Superintendent's Wall?
Sure.
By the next meeting?
The Athletic
So we
Hall
have-
of Fame is going to the foundation. We've
Was-
been
oh, the-
saying that for the last
Oh, that's a good point. Should,
6 months. We have a foundation meeting.
the
October
foundation's
3rd.
taking care of the Hall of Fame, then could I amend that, or just ask the superintendent to report back on the Superintendent's Wall of Fame? I'm hoping, Wall of Fame? Superintendent's Wall. Before the superintendent leaves, that gets completed.
Well,
Irony intended.
Superintendent who?
Not before you go, though.
No, not by tomorrow.
Yes, Committeeman O'Hare.
On the original motion, which is a long time now, but if we could, there's one item that we haven't touched on, policy subcommittee on the substitute to develop a district wellness policy. If we could include that in, or at least adjust and tell us when that will be taken care of. Is that okay?
If I could just make mention, I have spoken to Ms. Davis about it numerous times because of the additional nursing staff that they had in the grant
Yeah.
that they're working on. So that is something that I had been speaking to her about, so I'd expect over the next month or two, she'd have something a little more formal. Yes? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hare.
You're welcome.
Okay, new business?
I have 3 items. I
Committeeman Boutin, go ahead.
had a question on just reading the athletic report. I assume we're watching as a school for Triple E, the issues that we have with that. I know we're not in a very a danger zone, but I know sometimes the kids are going to other schools that may be, so I'm just hoping that it's on our radar, which Mr. Mastrocola is nodding his head that we are. I figured they would. The next item, I had a couple of parents communicate with me about Aspen. It was their I don't want to call it a complaint, but their concern is that they couldn't log on and see how their kids were doing and if they had any homework to. And I thought it was absolutely terrific, because we've been asking for this, at least for the 7 years I've been here on the committee and the 5 before on an advisory committee, to get parents more involved. And it was terrific seeing that they wanted to know what was happening with their children. So keep up the good work with the parents. It's more of a comment than anything else that they wanted to get on and be a part of their students' lives. And when they're part of their students' lives, or their kids' lives, they're going to do better. And then the last item I wanted to address now, and I would have done more on it had I been staying, but vaping has become a national issue. I know that it's been something that we've worked on here to educate the kids, to work with the kids. I think going forward, we may need to look at technology if there's possible. There's vape detectors, there's additional staff that we have, resources. It's just something that's becoming worse, and we're finding out it's becoming more and more damaging for our kids, and it's a safety issue. We do a lot with ALICE training, but this is just as much a safety issue, if not more, and it's affecting more kids. So something I just wanted to ask that it be kept on everybody's radar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a case real quickly, all good points.
Yes, Superintendent.
The vaping detectors are in place. We have 5 pilots in the building, in the
Wow,
bathrooms
okay.
right now. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Are they working?
The vaping is working. The intent of what we're trying to do may not be the best, but I think a lot of schools, a lot of places, not only schools, are having that same issue. So we're trying it. We do have them in 5 areas. So it's a work in progress. Yeah.
Great.
How
Keep
does
up the
that
good
work?
It picks up the vape and
Sort of like a smoke detector.
yeah, it's like a smoke.
Let's get the scent.
The one I saw, the person that's in charge, or multiple people, will get a text that vape has been detected in a certain bathroom, whether it's a resource officer, hall monitors, assistant principals, discipline.
And those items aren't permitted on school property?
Vaping?
Yeah, or, yeah, whatever, the tool or the,
Yeah.
so they're not allowed?
No, we have the vaping. We have the vape detectors.
I understand, like, can they bring the equipment in, the student?
No.
Oh,
So they're banned, that's a ban?
Confiscated and it's not
supposed to be,
returned to them.
No,
Good.
no, absolutely not.
Okay, new business, okay. Committeeman motions, I see none. Report of subcommittees? Okay. Did we want, before we adjourn, go into executive?
We need a motion to go into executive session for non-union.
Will we have a vote after?
Don't
I don't know.
believe so.
No.
So we can adjourn then, right?
We have to come back
We have to
out of
come back in.
executive session to adjourn.
All right.
Motion to go into executive session for non-union negotiations?
Second.
Committeeman Boutin, seconded by Committeeman Gigi.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Sheehan? Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu? Mr. Boutin?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Chairman, can we have a 5-minute recess?
Oh, we'll have a 5-minute recess.
Very good.